This is Apple Park, simply Apple's headquarters, a circular, imposing, very beautiful building that many say looks like a flying saucer. It's in this building with 260,000 square meters and 4 floors, and that cost $5 billion, where the whole idea is thought out, conceived, studied, and put into action, for the current ones as well as for the next revolutionary, undifferentiated, and even revered Apple product. And perhaps the product that stands out the most, that sells the most, and above all, has become a symbol of status and prestige. Especially for those who have it, it's the iPhone. This small device, which fits in the palm of your hand, has become such a coveted item for many people, just like some other Apple products, that it ended up on the list of the 10 most important devices of the past decade. But how Apple reached this milestone is part of a long, incredible, and unique journey that only a few other companies in the world have also managed to achieve. I'm talking about companies like Hobbit, Patek Philippe, luxury watch manufacturers, Lamborghini, Rolls-Royce, Mercedes, all from the automotive world, and Louis Vuitton from the fashion industry. According to Tech Insights, a company that's an expert in the field, which conducted a true reverse engineering process in its laboratories, of the new iPhone 13 Pro in the 256 gigabyte version, and they estimated that all the parts that make up the new iPhone have a total manufacturing cost of $570. Slightly more expensive than its predecessor, the iPhone 12 Pro, which has a total estimated manufacturing cost for all components of $548.50. But the iPhone 13 Pro has an official price of $1,000 to $1,100, which gives Apple a huge profit margin. So much profit that in the second quarter of this year, 75% of the total profit in the smartphone market went to Apple, $21.7 billion to be more precise. Apple sold fewer smartphones compared to other companies, but made 5 times more profit when compared to Samsung, for example. Apple was not only the first and only company in the smartphone world to reach the $1 trillion mark in 2018. In 2018, in market value, but it was also the first and only company to reach the $2.4 trillion mark in 2021 in market value, maintaining the title of the most valuable company in the technology world. But of course, all of this was achieved with strategy, differentiation, quality, targeting the right market, and most importantly, delivering a device that met the expectations and needs of the public. The first iPhones released had all these features, starting with the very first iPhone, the iPhone 2G, which brought a touch-sensitive screen that eliminated the need for several physical buttons, which was common at the time. And it ended up setting the standard for all future cell phones, which, along with a larger screen, a more beautiful and intuitive operating system, GPS, among other things, ended up killing companies that once dominated the market, like BlackBerry and Nokia. And as new iPhones were released, Apple always made sure to deliver unique products that met the needs of the public with ever-improving quality. And the prices kept getting higher and the phones became more and more exclusive, reaching an increasingly exclusive audience. So exclusive that the iPhone became popular among people from the highest elite, such as sheikhs, presidents and former presidents, businessmen, and even army generals. And with so much exclusivity, the iPhone became a status symbol, especially for those who have and are using the latest model. You just have to glance and see that someone is using an iPhone, especially the newest model, and it automatically gives us the idea that this person is successful and enjoying the best there is, even without knowing the person and even if their reality isn't quite like that. Which brings us to the next point, which is the preservation and good promotion of the device's design. You know, it's an iPhone just by the design. It's the first few lines that identify the product and the brand. And Apple knows this very well, so much so that it preserves the iPhone's overall design language in all its models. So you don't need to look at the phone for long to know that it's an iPhone. And this becomes very clear when we look at the design lineage of the iPhones, from the first one up to the iPhone 8 Plus, changes were made to the overall appearance of the phones, but they always kept the home button in the same place. The screen never had curved edges. The mute switch was always in the same spot, and the large bezels on the front were always there, always keeping differentiation, exclusivity, and the phone's overall design language in mind. And it was only with the iPhone X that, for the first time, Apple made a big change to the look of the iPhones, as well as to the way they are used. With the first OLED screen ever in an iPhone, one that took up almost the entire front of the phone, and the complete elimination of the home button, and the introduction of a much larger notch than most to accommodate the new facial recognition unlocking system, which is simply one of the most secure unlocking systems in the world available on a cell phone. According to Apple, the probability of someone else unlocking your iPhone with Face ID is 1 in 1 million compared to Touch ID, which is 1 in 50,000. By the way, this much larger notch with smooth curves defined the iPhone's new overall design language. All new iPhones since the iPhone X come with this notch, which most likely serves to educate people, especially those who won't buy an iPhone, that this notch, much larger than most, is part of the design of a modern iPhone screen. Of course, the notch houses the camera and the Face ID system, but from the iPhone X to the iPhone 12 Pro Max, almost 3 years of many technological advances, Apple hasn't changed or reduced the size of the notch. Not that it wasn't important to do, since a portion of the information on the screen is lost, but this strongly indicates that Apple preserves the iPhone's overall design and delivers a quality product, and that offers greater convenience in use even if the user experience is slightly affected. The same thing happens with the rear cameras. Apple is dedicated to showing the public, especially those who aren't going to buy an iPhone, the appearance and arrangement of the cameras on all its phones. You can easily identify an iPhone, especially if it has a case, just by looking at the appearance and arrangement of the cameras. You know it's an iPhone X if the cameras are arranged vertically, that it's an iPhone 11 if there are 2 lenses arranged vertically, that it's an iPhone 11 Pro, 11 Pro, Max, 12 Pro, 12 Pro, Max, 13 Pro, or 13 Pro, Max if there are 3 cameras arranged inside a square, and that it's an iPhone 13 Mini or 13 if the cameras are arranged diagonally. Make only a few changes, deliver the same high quality as always, and preserve the overall design so anyone can easily recognize it. And that's so true that at launch events as well as in commercials, not many photos taken by these cameras are shown. Apple knows that that any new iPhone comes with the best cameras that take some of the best photos found while you... So much so that it shifts its focus to making sure you easily recognize the look and layout of the cameras on the newly released iPhone, placing heavy emphasis on the status associated only with its products. And this principle of preserving the overall design has also been widely used in other areas and by other companies. As Tom Wright knows very well, a building only becomes an icon when its shape is simple but unique. And he applied this concept very well when he designed the most imposing hotel in Dubai, the Burj Al Arab. The car company Lamborghini also knows very well how to preserve the general lines of its cars. With several models released, some with few changes in the general appearance of the car. But just by looking at the shape of the car, you can tell it's a Lamborghini. And of course, many other companies that have also reached this level of exclusivity and status use this to their advantage to sell and profit much more. And with the exclusivity and status these companies have achieved, they end up falling into something called the Veblen effect, described by the economist Thorstein Veblen, which says that for some material goods, demand is proportional to their high price. Or in other words, some luxury material goods are only highly sought after because they have high prices. And conversely, If the price goes down, demand will do the same. This is clear when we look at the luxury clothing brand Burberry, which admitted that it has the practice of burning all its unsold and leftover products. More than $36.8 million worth of items were incinerated, according to the company, to preserve its reputation and exclusivity. And this practice is common in many other companies. Companies like Chanel, Louis Vuitton, Michael Kors, and Victoria's Secret, Richemont, Nike, and many others also burned several expensive items that weren't sold. According to them, it's to safeguard the brand's exclusivity and to prevent the products from ending up in the hands of unauthorized sellers or being smuggled. And they can't sell at lower prices because, according to them, the brand's exclusivity and image could be seriously affected. And all this exclusivity ends up bringing some advantages and other priorities to the company, like not always needing to be the first to innovate or include some new technology, which is very useful in their top-of-the-line products. Things like reverse wireless charging, which allows you to charge other phones wirelessly. It was first introduced in the Huawei Mate 20 Pro in 2018. Samsung introduced it with the S10, and Apple still hasn't added it to iPhones. And the USB-C port. Only include it when it has already been tested and proven for its efficiency and functionality, and only include it if it's really necessary, and if it improves or makes the user experience easier. And one thing that many iPhone fans might not know is that a huge part of the components that make up iPhones are not made by Apple. Things like the cameras that take excellent photos have their parts made by several companies, such as LG, Sharp, and Ophelmi. They make the cameras for the iPhone 12 all 4 versions, and most likely for the new iPhone 13 as well, in all its versions. Meanwhile, Sony is the main supplier of the camera image sensors, including the wide angle and telephoto. As for older iPhones, it is suspected that Sony and OmniVision, among other companies, were at the forefront of the camera development process. The flash memory options of 128, 256, and 512 gigabytes, the NFC unit, and ultra-wideband communication, the Wi-Fi module, Bluetooth, 5G module wireless charging modules, various control interface units, and power management for the screens, the lithium-ion battery cells, and much more. It's all outsourced. And even the entire final assembly process of each iPhone, it's not done by Apple, and it's not done in the United States, it's done in China. And even the OLED screens, which have been present since the iPhone X, are all made by Samsung. And now they've been replaced by the new LTPO OLED screens, also from Samsung, which are present in the iPhone 13 lineup. This allows the screen's refresh rate to be adjusted as needed, which allows for a smoother experience during use, but it uses more battery. One of the biggest advantages this excellence and status give Apple is that it allows Apple to do things no other company could do or plan to do anytime soon. Things like removing the headphone jack, which was heavily criticized and very poorly received by the public, but ended up defining the new era of wireless earbuds, which are a sensation today. And as Apple itself explains, this removal allowed iPhones to have greater water resistance, freed up space to include new technologies, and most importantly, it allowed the battery to be bigger. And even worse than that was when Apple decided to remove the charger from the box of their phones. The iPhone 12 lineup was the first to come without a charger included in the box. Apple said it was due to environmental concerns. And since each of those chargers costs Apple approximately $4.2, eliminating them allowed Apple to save more than $264 million. With more than 63 million units sold. And with all this pioneering spirit, Apple forced other brands like Samsung to reinvent themselves and follow the same path by removing the charger and the headphone jack from their newest models and releasing their own wireless earbud models so they wouldn't fall behind. All because Apple did it first.